Hello, everybody. All right, so welcome to the Mikestand. I hope everybody's had a good weekend thus far. Of course, we're all here last night for the weekend edition. So hopefully, so as I said, we're gonna, of course, give people a chance to come in, of course, before we get started. Um, Hopefully, everybody, as I said, has had a good weekend. Just something here real quick before we get started. All right, let me just do. All right. So, anyways, now I've done that a bit. Get the word. So let's see now. So coming up on 2.5 minutes here, so probably in about another 40 seconds, and I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So I hope everybody's having a good time tonight. A good start to their week. Of course, happy President's Day, or not President's Day, but Lincoln's birthday. That is also today. Um, so, all right. So, anyways, all right, we're at 3 minutes now. So, talk about what's on tap tonight. So, I got four articles we're going to go over tonight. The first of which, of course, will be talking about the upcoming latest animated series from DC, Batman Cape Crusader. Got some news coming out about that. A few other art that we got. That's the first art of that will be on and we'll have three others from Bleeding Fool, including Who Killed American Comics. For one, Marvel is planning on bringing back Frank Castle Punisher, and also we're going to meet the woman who supposedly um, destroyed Disney animation with DEI. That's diversity, equality, and inclusivity. So, anyways, as always, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, um, I can like and share the streams. So we get some more friendly people to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, let's finish this up, and then I will get into. Alrighty then. So with that, let's go ahead and go in here and. All right, so let's get into the first article here. We're gonna talk about here from Bounding into Comics. We're gonna be looking at of course, and we also will have the wrestling wrap up and the This Day Needs History segment as well. So Anyways, let's get into the first article here. Batman Caped Crusader will be darker than its forebears, but won't feature Kevin Conroy at all, despite rumors. Article by J.D. Ogden published this past Friday. There's, of course, a scene of Batman from, I guess they're saying, Batman Mask of the Phantasm back in 1993. So, the next Batman cartoon to carry the mantle begun by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, the DCAU version, Batman Caped Crusader, aims to go farther than that trend-setting series ever did or could with the restrictions of broadcast television. So much so, it turns out that it comes with a viewer warning from its lead writer. Hmm. Named Captain America scribe and writer and creator of the Winter Soldier, Ed Brubaker, revealed in a Zoom interview with YouTubers, the Comic Book Club, that Caped Crusader will be a much more mature show. Quote, I'll warn you guys, it's definitely a lot different than, in brackets, Batman the Animated Series, unquote, he said via Tunado. Brubaker made it clear this will be a full-on reboot of the Batman animated universe in every sense and everything producer Tim always wanted to do. Quote, it's a very much a reconception of starting over. It's not PG-13, but it's a lot different. It's sort of like the show Bruce Timm always wanted to make, but that they wouldn't let him make, unquote, he added. So it almost sounds like this is going to be one more for a adult audience really than really for a kids audience. So, the writer also teased how much how much more violent and noir the series will be. Quote, there's a lot more, people actually getting punched on camera. Well, the people got punched on camera in that series. So I don't know what okay. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it's everyone will kill me if I say it, but it's kind of noir. Um, it's definitely a different take that I hope people will love. But I think people will also be shocked by some things, unquote, Brubaker said. Um, and just in case, for those of you who may not know, noir is a French word for like dark or black. So just in case you were wondering. Let's see now, as we continue on here with um, the information he shared is in line with what executive producers Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams shared in their initial statement when Caped Crusader was announced. Quote, we are beyond excited to be working together to bring this character back, to tell engrossing new tales or new stories in Gotham City, they said. Quote, the series will be thrilling, cinematic, and evocative of Batman's noir roots, while driving deeper into the psychology of these iconic characters. We cannot wait to share this new world, unquote. See right there. See right there. See, they punched people in that show. I don't even know why they even said that. Batman Caped Crusader was saved from cancellation by Amazon Prime when the streaming giant acquired. Okay, I'll reach. Yeah. The streaming giant acquired the cartoon and granted it 2 seasons. Other than Brubaker, Seasoned writers Greg Rucka and Haley Finn from The Last of Us are among those who penned episodes. Tim, Reeves, and Abrams are seemingly bringing everybody in that they think will make this series something special. Expectations are middling at best, so they are in for an uphill battle. They could surprise us and make it good, maybe even epic. But no matter how it turns out, there is one component they won't have. Rumors persisted despite his untimely passing that Kevin Conroy would return in some form for Cape Crusader, if only for a bit. The speculation was fed by an IGN report saying Conroy's last round of line readings for The Dark Knight would be in Part 3 of Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, Tomorrowverse DCAU feature. The report remains uncorroborated by Warner Brothers and Conroy's people, but Bruce Timm shot down the inference that the late actor of stage and voice has anything to do with the throwback noir serial. Let's see. And again, if you guys haven't already, of course, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. I'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we'll try to answer. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. All right. So, anyways. All right. So, quote, I have no idea if the crisis part of IGN's supposed scoop is true or not, but Kevin Conroy did not record a voice for Cape Crusader. We were hoping to have him do a voice for the new show, in parentheses, and he was eager to do it, but sadly he passed away before we could make it happen, unquote. Tim wrote in an animesuperhero.com forum post. And Kevin Conroy, of course, in season 1, episode 9, Crisis Part 2, from the CW there. He then cautioned, quote, as I have to do every so often, I will remind you all once again to take all unsourced, in smaller quotes, news items in the sci-fi comics entertainment cybersphere with a huge grain of salt. Occasionally, these, in smaller quotes, leaks actually turn out to be true, but often as not, they're just cynical clickbait, unquote. Oh, there we go. There we go with that one. So that one kind of went. So the main point was that I guess there were people who were thinking Kevin Conroy was going to be involved in this series. It turns out he's not. According to Bruce Timm right there, he had passed away before they could actually make it happen. So, that's. But he does have a point there. A lot of people, we got too much of this clickbaity culture. Everybody's just searching for clickbait, and it's like not really a good. I don't really think it's a good thing, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, let's move. Let's get ready to move on to the next story here. Head over to Bleeding Fool, where we'll have the remainder of the articles we're covering. All right. So first off, let's see. Let's get down to. All right. So anyway, so now we are. But here's the first of the three articles we're going to cover from Bleeding Fool now. And once again, I, of course, will remind everybody, if you guys haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Oh, let me just see one more time here. Okay, let's see. All right, so anyways, let's get into this. So, who killed American comics? Article by Brian Niemeyer from, and it was put up back on Friday, February 9th, 2024. So let's take a look at this then. So the recent post on who killed rock and roll attracted a lot of notice. It's taken a while to gain traction, but it seems like every day more people are noticing cultural ground zero. As this theory's name implies, um, the destruction wasn't limited to popular music. Every form of mass entertainment in the West, from movies to television to comics, suffered creative collapse since circa 1997. According to this guy's impression, comic books seem like an outlier in this reckoning. After all, superhero movies so dominate Hollywood that it feels like cheap flicks are the only films they make anymore. But that's a symptom of the larger issue. Sales of comic books themselves have imploded, and they did so decades ago. The only reason they're still published are A. Gen Y, Gen Y nerds wallowing in nostalgia, and B. to maintain IP rights for big studios whose parent companies also happen to own the publishers. A nice little thing going there, huh? So, anyways, contrary to the veneer of popularity bestowed um, by Hollywood, American comics are dead. Today's bestsellers only move numbers of copies that would have gotten them canceled back in the 80s. It's not kids buying the new books either, it's pop culturists in their 40s. So, how did it come to this point? Who killed American comics? As with every unsolved crime, from the Lindbergh kidnapping to the Kennedy assassination, there are as many theories as there are people. Quote, it was the 90s speculator bubble, unquote, some say. Quote, when stunt marketing like variant covers couldn't keep it pumped up, the bubble burst and took down the direct market. Others pin the blame on publishers axing veteran writers to let rock star artists helm top titles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's part of it too. You know, you have a lot of these veteran writers like Chuck Dixon, like Ethan Scriber, who've gone the independent route. You know, which is why independent comics are starting to rise more. You know, and have more success um, than the mainstream. Yet others point the finger at the woke cult for subverting the big two comic book publishers. Um, but few notice that none of these theories are mutually exclusive, and they're not. You know, some people would argue that they are. There's a combination of those factors all contributing. Um, the American comics industry is like an elephant, a dead one. Okay, comparing an industry to a dead elephant. That's an interesting take. That fans are groping in the dark for the cause of death. Shedding a little light on the matter is all it takes to solve the mystery. So here's who killed American comics. Longtime readers may remember friend of the blog, Research Guy. While rebuilding his childhood comic book collection, he created an index of back issues spanning from the 1950s. He annotated the list, highlighting the major events a given issue contained. First appearances of the characters and introductions of key in-universe concepts and the start of major storylines. Got pride of place. All of that cataloging yielded extraordinary insights. Research Guy noticed patterns present in almost all comic books published within certain time frames. It was like American comics had an industry-wide meta arc that featured these well-defined phases. All right. 1. Growth, 1960s. Iconic new characters debut regularly. Major concepts that will shape continuity introduced. Universe-defining events frequently take place. 2. Maturity, 1970s, 1980s. Introduction of new ideas, tapers off as series hit their stride. Eventful individual issues still common. 3. Stagnation, late 80s, early 90s. Writing quality declines, increased reliance on gimmicks to drive sales. This includes replacing beloved icons with diversity doppelgangers and first signs of wokeness. Um, you know, all right. Well, yeah, when you have like the Sunshine Superman and all that. Decay, mid 90s to the mid aughts, 2000s basically. Narrative wasteland in which nothing of consequence happens for years. The worst aspects of sales gimmicks and nascent wokeness combined in the following pattern: iconic character killed off, series reboot with new series number 1, often replacing venerable lead with diversity character, original numbering, and lead character quietly brought back a few months later. Death, shambling zombie status, now. All right, so all right, so let's see now. It was Combat Frame Exceed concept artist Art Anon who pointed to the website of Fantastic Four superfan Chris Tolworthy. Quite independently, Chris gathered supporting evidence for all of Research Guy's observations. Check out this chart from Chris's site, The Rise and Fall of the Marvel Universe. 1961, Fantastic Four #1. Marvel sells out in 1968. Marvel Time Triumphant, 1973. See, DC implodes sometime between 73 and 80. Last dated event, 1980. Jim Shooter, Death of Marvel Universe with gimmicks in 1991. Marvel bankrupt in 1996. Focus on movies. So, is apparent. So, 1968, Marvel becomes #1. Goodman sells Marvel to the Perfect Film and Chemical Corporation, the Marvel expansion. More titles, less time on each title, emphasis on characters as brands. Real time begins to stretch. Franklin Richards was born in 1967. 1973, death of Gwen Stacy. End of Silver Age, at least Marvel Silver Age. Various stories make it clear that Marvel time is not real time. Early 1970s, success of Kung Fu and Conan. Marvel grabs DC sales. With lower cover price, DC sales decline. 1980, last major dated event is Death of Jean Grey. Later dated events are inconsequential. Early 1980s, Jim Shooter's reign, several classic runs. Comics arrive on time. Single issue stories, direct sales, etc. 1991, continuity meltdown, Spider-Man clone saga, Bony, Wolverine, Young Iron Man, Alicia is a squirrel, etc., etc. Mid 1990s, sales gimmicks, the image effect, writers are unimportant, investment bubble burst. 1996, Beyond, endless reboots, retcons, Heroes Reborn. 2099, 1602, Adventures, Ultimates, Zombie, One More Day, etc. So, so we were reading from that, and I guess I'll have it repeated here. All right. So, anyways, all right. The events noted on the timeline map almost perfectly to Research Guy's comics meta arc. 1961 to 1967. Under the guidance of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the storylines in Marvel's regular titles organically grow into the largest shared continuity in literary history. 1963 stands as the high watermark for the creation of new Marvel characters. 1968 to 61 to 60. Now, of course, in 66, 67, that was also the '66 was the year that 66 and '67 were the years Grant Wade Lawrence Animation got involved in coming out with some of the first animated adaptations, the cartoon adaptations of, there was the Marvel superheroes in '66, which was basically focusing in on Captain America, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Namor, the Submariner. And '67, of course, gave us the classic Spider-Man series, one that gave us his own Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So, anyways, 1968 to '73, to end of the Silver Age. Marvel sold to Gordon Gekko, prototype Martin S. Ackerman. Number of monthly titles explodes. IRL time replaced with Marvel time. Reed Richards said to have fought in Korea instead of World War II. So they basically moved everything up a little bit. It's basically Gwen Stacy killed to maintain status quo of Peter being single. Franklin Richards' age fluctuates wildly. I guess Franklin must have been Sue and Reed's son or something like that, I'm guessing. 1988, Lee's misguided directive to give readers the quote-unquote illusion of change instead of real change renders dramatic tension impossible. Readers catch on that the status quo and ante will always return. There are no more great universe-wide stories after this point, though great standalone stories are still being published. So they don't have things like DC did with like Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that. They don't have those big event type series or issues. All right, so let's see. 1991. Character development rolled back and further character development forbidden by editorial fiat. And in 1996, the Heroes Reborn amalgam events kill Marvel's 30-plus years of continuity. Marvel goes bankrupt. New owners cement the shift in focus from publishing single floppies to movie licensing. It's rather eerie how two separate comic historians' timelines jibe, right? Jibe, no? The one line of data research guy lacked was sales figures over the period in question, which Chris helpfully provided. As shown in the chart above, the overall downward trend is pronounced. Comic book fans used to read Marvel books for the sense of continuity, high-stakes conflict, and relatable characters. Marvel Universe was like a neighborhood bar where they could drop in and catch up with the regulars. They watched those characters' lives unfold for decades. Then the building was torn down to make room for a corporate chain bar. Prices rose while quality dropped. The downward slide was temporarily reversed during the reign of Maverick editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. But Marvel's recovery on his watch just proves Chris and research guy's point. Shooter revived Marvel by sticking to continuity and shipping quality books on time. Who'd have thought? Marvel began its transition from a comic book publisher to a brand management company in 1968. That shift in focus was cemented in 1996 and made irreversible upon the company's absorption by Disney. As for DC, they've operated as a brand management firm since the 1950s. Marvel just became their later decanted clone. That's our culprit. The big two abandoned the comic book publishing business for the brand management business. The editors checked out. The good writing got thrown under the bus. Flashy art and sales gimmicks replaced big ideas and deep characters. Speculators, drawn by the stunt marketing, replaced readers. Subsequent bubble popped, and woke megacorps swooped in to pick the carcasses clean. Marvel Comics Brain Trust Senior VP Tom Brevoort and EIC CB Sobolski. Those are the two guys that people are talking about. Restoring the culture will take a new breed of creators committed to telling high-stakes stories about relatable characters engaging with big ideas. Not the type to expect from others what I'm unwilling to do myself. I've been working at just those kinds of projects for years. And there we go with that. Alrighty then. So now back to we do have another other comic stories that were. Hey Apex! Two traders in the comic book industry, Brevoort and Chubby Boy Sobolski. Yeah, hey. Yep. Basically, according to that last article, the culprits who killed American comics are basically the big two who decided to go from comic book publishing to brand management. And of course, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, let's get on to this next article here. Okay, so Marvel bringing Frank Castle's Punisher out of retirement for a limited series. So that didn't seem to take long, did it? Wasn't it last summer that they had kind of killed off Punisher and kind of retired the character for him to basically wander around the underworld with children and try to make amends for being a gun-toting mercenary? Let's see what's going on here now. So, article by Todd Fisher, published February 10th, which of course was Saturday. Sales of the new replacement Punisher must not be what Marvel Comics had hoped, because this May, Garth Ennis will return to Marvel Comics as well as the real Punisher, Frank Castle, in Get Fury, a new 5-issue limited series starring two characters he helped define for the modern age, Nick Fury and Frank Castle. Joining Ennis will be frequent collaborator, artist Jason Burrows, along with Dave Johnson for the series covers. This series will pit two of comics' most formidable soldiers against each other in a saga set during the Vietnam War. In addition to a return of Ennis, the Retro series also makes a comeback for Nick Fury and Frank Castle, two iconic characters who passed on their mantles in present-day continuity, much to the disappointment of their readers. Let's see if anybody's saying anything as of yet here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Apex even said something even more. Get Frank Terry to write Punisher and Michael Blair to draw it. All right, that might be interesting. The max-rated saga kicks off when Frank is assigned what might be the most dangerous mission of his career: to assassinate Nick Fury. It's 1971. There is a war raging in Vietnam, and Nick Fury has been captured by the Viet Cong. At this moment, they don't quite understand that they have in their possession a man who knows enough secrets to damage the United States beyond comprehension. CIA, however, does realize this, and they can't risk their enemy getting those secrets. So they dispatch the most deadly man in the U.S. Army, Lieutenant Frank Castle. On writing the characters again, Ennis shared, quote, "There's a nice sense of things coming full circle with Get Fury. The editor is my good friend Nick Lowe, who handled Bourne back at the beginning some 20 plus years ago. And just like that story, this one sees Frank Castle as a U.S. Marine in Vietnam. Parentheses. In fact, it goes some way to explaining how he ended up at Firebase Valley Forge in the first place. Unparentheses. As the two most violent men in mainstream comics, Fury and Frank, work well together, just like they did in Vietnam sequence of Fury, My War Gone By. All in all, if Get Fury turns out to be the last time I write Frank, I think you'll make for a worthy farewell," unquote. Quote, "I never have more fun on a project than I do with Garth, and this work with these two characters is world class," unquote, Burroughs added. Quote, "Getting to bring this chapter of their saga to life was extremely exciting to me as a huge fan of those previous books. And I think I am in the minority of artists that really enjoy the research aspect of doing a period book. So getting to draw a comic set at the tail end of the Vietnam War was a fun challenge," unquote. Check out Johnson's main cover for Get Fury #1, along with the variant cover and interior art by Jason Burroughs. All right, so there we go with that one. We go with that article. Now we have one more to go over here. Get this one in a moment here. Let's see. One more article we're going to go over here. I do, though, need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. Put some music on while I'm done. All right, so before we all right, well, doesn't. All right, so let's see now. So let's get to the last article of the night here. Anyways, all right. So the woman who destroyed Disney's animation division with DEI. Article by Chris Braley, published earlier today. Oh, there she is, folks. All right, so Jennifer Lee was named Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios following the departure of John Lasseter from the company. She is also the screenwriter and co-director of Frozen 2. The current state of Disney Animation is under scrutiny with concerns about its direction and leadership. There is no doubt that over the past few years, significant changes have taken place, leading to the dissatisfaction among fans, employees, and industry observers alike. In a recent expose on Film Threat, allegations were made about the decline of Disney animation, attributing it to decisions made by key figures, particularly Jennifer Lee. Lee, known for involvement in successful projects like Frozen, quote, Frozen, who, end quote, has been accused of prioritizing ideological agendas over creative excellence, unquote. The article suggests that under Lee's leadership, Disney Animation has become mired in issues related to diversity, gender relations, and content quality. Concerns have been raised about the impact on these decisions on the creative process and the overall reputation of the studio. Let's see. With in brackets John Lasseter out of the way, he was replaced at Disney Animation by Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter at Pixar. Lee was the writer and co-director of the smash hit Frozen, and Docter had been a creative force at Pixar for years, directing Up, Inside Out, and Monsters, Inc. At the outset, the choices appeared solid. Still, in the case of Disney Animation, radical changes needed to be made in the racial and gender makeup of its leadership and creative process. The change began with Raya and the Last Dragon. The initial directors were Paul Briggs and Dean Wellens, with Adele Lim, in parentheses, coming off her success with Crazy Rich Asians, parentheses, as the sole writer. Unfortunately, the trio was seen as being quote unquote Lasseter people. Rumor has it that Lee was gunning for Briggs and Wellens by foisting impossible tasks on them to either get them fired or, better yet, force them to quit. Being the veteran talent that they were, the traps didn't work. Briggs was demoted to co-director, and Wellens was given a Disney Plus series to direct. From here, Raya and the Last Dragon turned from being a traditional Disney animated production to slowly transforming into Disney's first DEI test case. Step one was to load the entire project with female South Asian animators and talent from within the company. the female Asian animators, then female POC animators, people of color, persons of color, and the rest. But that wasn't enough. Rather than pull in other artists from within, a major recruitment push was made to hire more women from outside the company to reach a 50-50 male female balance for equity's sake. Yeah, right. I think they wanted more like a 70-30 female to male ratio, but again, I digress. Um, with Raya and The Last Dragon, the goal wasn't to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion into the existing community of Disney animators, but to replace it with a radicalized group of female activists completely. One female person of color animator, POC animator, contacted us about her experience with WIA to further her career in animation. She was looking for mentorship and resources to break into the industry. While initial discussions were cordial, she was quickly ghosted by the organization because she did not live in Los Angeles and could not be helpful to their cause. Additional reports um, from insider WDW Pro, Walt Disney World Pro, indicate a growing sense of disillusionment among Disney animators, some expressing fear of reprisal for expressing moderate political viewpoints. There were also allegations of a toxic work environment where dissenting voices are marginalized and creativity is stifled. Furthermore, there are doubts about Disney's ability to produce high quality animation in the future. Many believe that a complete overhaul of the studio's leadership practice is necessary to restore its former glory. Alan Ng and Walt Disney World Pro discussed the situation here, calling Miss Lee's the quote secret woman behind Disney's animation's collapse unquote. It remains to be seen whether Disney will take decisive action to address these concerns and rebuild its animation division. But I don't have much faith in them anymore. Does anybody really? Does anybody? Because I think it's been pretty clear that Disney has gone all in on this DEI garbage. All right. So, and again, that's diversity, equality, and inclusivity. That's not to be confused with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Anyways. Alrighty then. So now of course, now we're at the 56-minute mark. So I think we're going to start winding down a bit here. Of course, we got to go through the wrestling wrap up first. Get kind of caught up on some of the weekend's stuff. So going back, of course, to Thursday night. Go back to Thursday night here. Some of the, of course, some of the happenings from this past Thursday's total nonstop. This last Thursday's Impact episode. Um, All right, so this last. Let's see. Oh wait, no, we did that one already. I think. Right? Yeah. Oh, from this past Thursday's Impact, which was this past saw Chris in a non-title match. Chris Sabin fend off the challenge of John Schuyler, um, with it being announced after this match that the recently signed Mustafa Ali, formerly of the WWE, will be challenging Chris Sabin in a few weeks at No Surrender. Um, Tasha Steelz defeated Zaya Brookside in under 5 minutes. Match taped on January 20th. Zachary Wentz got the win over Mike Bailey as the Radicals. It had Trey Miguel there. As the Radicals were looking to jump on Bailey, Trent Seven made his return to TNA, and then after Trent Seven and Mike Bailey, Speedball Mountain were attacked by the Radicals and Steve Macklin. Then Dolph Ziggler came out, setting up a potential feud there between, or not Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. Speedball Mountain and Nick Nemeth against the Radicals and Steve Macklin to further each of their feuds. In her last match, with Impact before heading back to the WWE, Trinity teamed with Knockouts champion Jordan Grace to defeat Jordan's upcoming opponent at No Surrender, Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. So, anyways, Khan won a handicap match in which he defeated Oni Gold and Richard Adonis. Josh Alexander defeated Alan Angels in a one-on-one match, only to be attacked after the match by the recently signed Simon Gotch from the crowd. And in the main event of the evening, in preparation for his upcoming return match, his contractual rematch against Moose for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Alex Shelley defeated Eddie Edwards. That's all that happened on Impact. So now we'll go over and talk a bit about happened over on Ring of Honor next. On this past Thursday's Ring of Honor episode, as I can find it here. So from the Brookshire Grocery Arena in Bossier, Louisiana, Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni saw Spanish announce Project of Angelico and Serpentico defeat the Russells, Alan and Cameron Russell. Nyla Rose defeated Emmy Camacho, who was jumped by returning Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena. Iron Savage in a six-man tag team match. Iron Savages teamed with Jack Jameson to defeat Braxton Hunter, John Cruz, and KM. Dalton Castle defeated Aaron Solo. In a Ring of Honor World Tag Team Title Proving Ground match, the Undisputed Kingdom duo of Matt Bennett and Mike Bennett and Matt Taven defeated Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler. Ethan Page defeated Slim J. Billy Starks defeated Killa Kate. The Righteous defeated the Infantry. Queen Aminata showed off her skills, defeating Reza Clark. Bad Dude Tito, coming over from New Japan, defeated Gringo Loco. Red Velvet in a four-corner survival match. Red Velvet outlasted Diamante, Kara Hogan, and Trish Adonis. In a men's four-corner survival match, Lee Johnson outlasted Alex Zane, Blake Christian, and Jack Cartwheel. So now, as we will move on to AEW here, and some of the stuff that happened over the weekend in AEW. But, well, first I'll talk about what happened on this past Friday's Rampage. This past Friday's Rampage saw members of the Undisputed Kingdom of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, along with Roderick Strong, who will be going after the AEW International Championship at Revolution, take on Chaos members Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero. The Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, defeated Mondo Rocks and Robbie Litt. Mystico defeated Matt Sydal. And in the main event from Friday, saw Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale with Stokely Hathaway in their corner, defeating the Outcast of Saraya and Ruby Soho. And due to a miscommunication in this match, we may be seeing the further downfall of the Outcast as Ruby Soho walked out on Saraya during the match. After the match, Willow and Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale were confronted by Sky Blue and AEW TBS champion Julia Hart. And then coming up on Saturday at on Collision happening from the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson, Nevada. Opening match saw the duo of Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley of the Blackpool Combat Club defeat the CMLL duo of Esfinge and Star Jr., furthering kind of the feud between the BCC and CMLL guys. Daniel Garcia defeated, outlasted Shane Taylor in a very brutal match, essentially getting the submission on him, I believe. Brian Cage defeated the Outrunners in a handicap match. Brody King defeated Mark Briscoe Fiona Purrazzo defeated Kara Hogan, while Toni Storm, the current AEW Women's World Champion, defeated Queen Aminata. And Orange Cassidy, in the main event on Collision, Orange Cassidy retained the international title over Tomohiro Ishii, only to be jumped by the Undisputed Kingdom after the match, but as Roderick Strong, Mike Bennett, and Matt Taven were jumping Cassidy, Ishii came back in, as they are teammates in the faction known as Chaos. Ishii, and then eventually Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero came out to help Cassidy out. So that all happened in Ring of Honor this weekend, as they continue to march towards towards Revolution in a couple weeks. Also, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the question to the best of my ability. So with that, now we get to some WWE news, going back to this past Friday's SmackDown to talk about what happened on SmackDown this past Friday. On this last Friday's SmackDown, we saw as they continue to build towards towards the Elimination Chamber. In an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, Drew McIntyre defeated AJ Styles. Also, in another Elimination Chamber, so in the other two Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, Bianca Belair defeated Michin, and Randy Orton defeated Sami Zayn. And in a number one contendership match for a shot at the unified tag team titles, the Brawling Brits of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate defeated DIY of Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. So you had some dark matches there, but on that, as now after the backlash they received over The Rock supposedly taking Cody's spot against Roman Reigns, now it's looked like the WWF has decided to turn Rock heel, and maybe setting up a potential for night one, a potential tag team match of The Rock and Roman Reigns taking on Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, with Cody finally getting to finish his story on night two of WrestleMania. Now, in furthering the build-up on tonight's episode of Raw, as WWE continues to set forth on tonight's episode of Raw from Lexington, Kentucky, from the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, seeing a six-man tag match. Jey Uso and the New Day members of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods take on all three members of Imperium of Intercontinental Champion Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci. And some more Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. You'll have Bobby Lashley taking on Bronson Reed, Zoe Stark taking on Liv Morgan in a women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match, and LA Knight taking on Ivar of the Viking Raiders. You will also see R-Truth taking on JD McDonough of Judgment Day, in which he will have, of course, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest in his corner. And in the main event, we'll see Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Sami Zayn. So that's all we got for you in terms of the wrestling wrap-up. Now, with today being Monday, February 12th, of course, today was Lincoln's birthday. So happy Lincoln's birthday to everybody. With that being said, now let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! So, All right, so first off, I'm going to head back 70 years ago today, as on this date, 70 years ago today. On this date, 70 years ago today, the fifth issue of Bride's Romances from Quality Comics went on sale on this date back in 1954. It was 10 cents, sold for 10 cents for 32 pages. On this date, 70 years ago today, back in 1954, the fifth issue of Bride's Romances from Quality Comics went on sale on this date. On this date in 1954. Now, moving ahead to 2014, on this date in 2014, the Cartoon Network studio shorts Mixels premiered on Cartoon Network on this date back in 2014. So 10 years ago today, Cartoon Network Mixels premiered on Cartoon Network on this date back in 2014. And finally, on this date in 5 years ago today, back in 2019, at the age of 76, the first WWE Triple Crown winner, somebody who's won the WWF Heavyweight, Tag Team, and Intercontinental Championship, Pedro Morales, passed away at the age of 76 on this date 5 years ago today. The date 5 years ago today, the first WWE Triple Crown winner, Pedro Morales, passed away at the age of 76. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And with that, let's see. We'll be back here tomorrow with more news. And this Friday, of course, I have Rex Christian joining me from Devil Flyer Momentum, in which we'll be going over. Of course, we'll be continuing our look back at through our historical comic retrospect. We'll be looking back to Prize Comics Volume 1, Issue 1 from Prize Comics, Crestwood Publications. We'll be going over a brief history, and then we'll get into some interesting stories. With that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see you all back here tomorrow. Bye.